All right, guys, I have a confession. I hate emailing. There, I said it, but seriously, the inbox is and has forever been one of my least favorite pieces, necessities of owning a business. I really don't like emailing. But creating systems around emailing has really helped me. So from a gal who naturally wants to spend less time emailing and really strives to do that, I'm dropping my best tips in this episode for how to add systems to your inbox so you can stop being in it so much. You can spend more time doing the work you want to do in your business and less time emailing. So let's dive into some fun systems chats. Hey guys, it's Elizabeth McCravey, and you're listening to the Breakthrough Brand Podcast. Each week, I'll bring you workshop-style trainings that teach you how to stand out online, design success from the inside out, and create a breakthrough business. It's time to turn viewers into raving fans and design the business and life of your dreams. I'm so excited you're here. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Breakthrough Brand Podcast. And I'm really excited about this one because funny thing, I actually had started a draft for this over a year ago. And I was like thinking, what do I want to talk about this week? And I, pulled out, I have all these like started drafts of like episodes I thought about doing, but then didn't. And this was one of them. And I had barely anything yet. So most of this is fresh ideas, but this is something that, again, like over a year, stuff I've been doing and something I think will really help you guys. So like I said in the intro, I hate emailing. I would rather work on other things besides navigating a giant overflowing inbox. But as you know, as I know, emailing is such a vital part of running a business. It's like truly a necessity. It's how we communicate with customers. It's how we communicate with potential customers. It's how I get podcast guests. It's how I receive all the annoying spam mail I get. That's something I could live without. But seriously, we all know emailing is really important, but spending all day in your inbox is not. Spending all day with it pulled up is not. It's actually a waste of your time and just valuable time in your business. And we often think stuff is more urgent when it's important, but not urgent. And we take things that feel really urgent and sub them in for things that are actually more important. So anyway, emailing is something that can be a huge time suck, but I have some ways to help you save time with it that we're going to dive into. So no matter what stage of business you're in, I want you to listen in closely to this episode. So a funny thing though, that I feel like I need to share here. When I first started my business, I did not get that many emails. That's probably true of yourself as well if you're a newer business owner. And so I was often confused when I heard people say, my inbox is so overwhelming. I have hundreds of unread emails and everything's out of control. Because for me, mine was really easy to control and I didn't feel like it was taking over my life. But I get it now. I get why the inbox can be overwhelming because I do get a lot more emails. And here's the thing. Here's what I want you to hear. I'm so glad that I implemented systems for the inbox on my way to it being more intense so that it never got out of control. If I had waited until right now to do these systems, it would have felt really crazy, really overwhelming, and I would have been dropping balls all over the place with communication. So no matter what your inbox feels like for you right now, whether you're a new business owner or you've been in business longer, you can implement these tips and start spending less time emailing and more time on other things that keeps your business moving forward, and ultimately create systems for your business. So when you grow a team, when you add in new services and products, it's going to make sense and not super overwhelm you. So let's dive into this. So I have 7 specific ways to systematize the inbox that I'm going to walk you guys through. Be sure to stay till the end because these are in no particular order and some of them might be more of what you need than others, because I'm sure some of these you might already be doing. And then others you might be like, wow, I never thought of that. So stay with me through all of them. But I'm going to start with number 1. And this one, literally, I could have done a whole episode on just number 1. And I probably will do a whole episode on it at some point. But the first tip to systematizing, set up canned email responses. So there is literally no reason why you shouldn't have some canned emails set up for your business. I don't care if you've been in business 1 year. I don't care if you have the most simple service ever. It doesn't matter. If you've been in business any amount of time, there are responses that you are sending more than once, and having a great starting point each time will save you hours over the course of your business, if not like days when we're thinking really long term. So it's no use to anyone to type out a brand new reply every time you get the same question. Okay. By doing this, you get lazy each time probably, and the answer gets worse because you feel like you just answered this, but now you're typing it again when you could have had a starting point called a canned email to work with. And if you're like, wait, what's a canned email, Elizabeth? To kind of specify this, basically, I mean a templated message that you're saving somewhere. I'm going to get into where you could save it as a like copy and paste thing you can copy into your email provider. That's a message you might need to send often, or you might send more than once. You might send twice a week. You might just think it's a good question someone asked that you might need to answer again. So an example of this would be an email where you ask a potential client to book a discovery call with you, and it has the link right there to schedule it, all of that. You have that as a canned email. You copy and paste it over, you customize it a little bit, and you send it. Another example would be an email answering a question you're always getting asked about your service, or maybe about your blog or your podcast, or a common client or customer question, whatever it is. So right now, I actually counted before recording this, in our email system, we have 40 canned emails exactly, and we added this all the time. And in that email system, because I have multiple places I keep these, which all feels very organized, even though I say multiple there. We have 40 here though, and those are mostly relating to the podcast and my template shop, because we do customer support for our template customers, which is awesome. Love that. And so we have a lot of canned responses around that. And then we also have canned responses relating to potential customers. And then I have a bunch that relate to my podcast, like when someone pitches wanting to be a guest and we're saying not right now or not ever. I get a lot of cold pitches. And then when we're asking someone to be a guest, I have all stuff for that. And then I have even more canned emails though in Dubsado, which is the CRM we use. And those relate to the one-on-one customers I work with. So I keep that separately because I'm doing most of those, the emails there that would need to be more automated and systematized. So then in addition to that, I have 2 canned messages for my Etsy shop that I use every time someone buys. And then I have a few other Etsy shop canned emails that are for just specific circumstances that give me a starting point on some questions there. So that's really where I have all mine for reference, which just because I'm doing it that way, like of having those different spots and different types of things, doesn't mean that's what's right for your business. We all have different types of businesses. But this is a cool thing here I want to share for reference. One particular way canned emails helps me. So I have an Etsy shop, right? I have talked about this on the podcast before. If you want to look at it, elizabethmccravey.com/Etsy, just type that in and it'll take you to the shop. But I have a bunch of cool coffee mugs in there. And every time someone orders a coffee mug from me, it takes me 3 minutes or less to process the order, which is me going into Etsy, basically ordering the mug for them, having it shipped to them, and recording it in my spreadsheet where I keep track of all my Etsy orders. Takes me 3 minutes. And the one huge reason is because I have a system and because I have 2 canned messages I use every time for an order. One goes with the order on the message that they're getting shipped, and then one goes to tell them it's been confirmed. And those 2 canned emails help a ton. And I've done that over 400 times now. That's how many sales I've had. And if I was every single one of those 400 times writing an individualized response to every customer, it would take so much longer. But instead, I have a great system. I don't have to think about it. Again, it helps with the 3-minute thing. I'm not overthinking. I'm just processing. It's quick. It's fast. I even have the credit card information remembered and ready to autofill on my computer. Like it's fast. So anyway, that's a little bit about canned emails. But now let's talk about how to start building up your canned responses. So every time you do get a response that you think you'll likely send again, so something where you write something, you're like, I think I'll send that again. Someone else will ask that. Write it really well, like crush the message, make it amazing, then save it as a templated reply. And soon enough, you'll have built up an awesome collection of emails that you can use as a starting point anytime you have to answer a common question or send a repetitive email. And yes, it might feel like it takes a little longer in that moment because you're going to strive to write like an amazing response right then. And then you're going to take the extra step to put this this canned email somewhere, but then next time you're starting with an already ready to go draft for that same question. So you might be wondering, where should you keep the template emails? Literally, I don't think that matters that much. I've kept mine many different places over the years. If I'd recorded this podcast a year ago, which like I said, I'd started a draft on this a year ago, I would have said a completely different answer right now. So I really do think this is not something to overthink. Evernote or Notion are great little quick apps that you can keep notes on. Those could be great spots. They have a great little search engine built in. It just needs to be somewhere you can easily access across time, anytime, easily. Gmail apps, if you use Gmail as your email provider, they have a way now to add canned responses. Dubsado's obviously going to be a really great one for one specifically related to your CRM stuff. Whatever CRM you're using, Dubsado or something else, that's a great place to keep like client ones. There's a lot of different ways. In my business, in case you're curious and you're like, I really want to know what you do though, most of ours are in a team emailing software we use called Front App. I really love it. I don't have any kind of like promotion code or anything to share with you. If I do later, I'll paste it in the show notes for this so you can use that. But it's definitely worth the money. If you have multiple people that all need to see the same email and collaborate on responses, and you really need to do like some advanced tagging and sorting and things like that, Front's really amazing. And I absolutely love it. But for a lot of you guys listening that are just service-based, Gmail system or Evernote type thing like Notion or Evernote will work wonders. Even a Google Doc could work. You just need to be able to like have it pulled up really easy and not make it like a hard thing to get going. Really wherever. So figure out what works for you, but just do this, you guys. Even if that means today you're just opening up the Notes app on your laptop and pasting something into it just to get started. It doesn't have to have some amazing system on day one. And another thing I want to add on this one before we move on to the second thing, if you worry that a canned email isn't personal enough, if you're like, Elizabeth, I hear you, that sounds great, but it's not personal enough. I'm super personal in my business. Okay, please do not think that. If it doesn't feel personal when it's sent, you can still customize it each time with their name and anything specific to their situation. That does not feel impersonal at all. And it will save you time. It'll help you write better emails because you aren't reinventing the wheel. And I actually believe in some ways that canned emails are more personable because I'm giving each customer, each client that has that question, the same amazing experience. It helps you systematize your experience and give everyone the same thing, regardless of how sharp your mind is on answering that question that day or how quick you're responding, all of that kind of stuff. So please don't let the idea of it being impersonal stop you from doing this. And again, that's just me doing a fast overview of canned emails. I will probably do a full episode on that at some point, so stay tuned for that. Okay, let's move on though to the second way. So the second way to systematize your inbox. This one might seem obvious, and I want you, if you think it seems too obvious, keep listening to me. I'm going to make this one short, but archive emails once they've been dealt with. Okay, you might already be doing this, but you also might not be. And again, I'm going to talk about this one quickly because it feels so obvious to me, but I think so many people don't do this. And I've actually had over the years, multiple people I've worked with as clients of mine, whether in coaching or in design, where I've gotten to see their inbox open for whatever reason. I've been like, wow, they don't do this. And it's so overwhelming. It stresses me out because I like a clean inbox. So when we talk about the concept of inbox zero, okay, we hear people say that got my inbox to zero on Friday or whatever. In my definition of that, it does not mean you have zero unread emails. It means that when you open your email software, there are literally no emails in it. And it'll say something really sweet like, yay, no emails, you cleared your inbox. Or sometimes I feel like Gmail has a little message about it, but that's what inbox zero means to me. And it's not because you've deleted all your emails after you respond or anything like that. It's because you archive the message after it's been dealt with, okay? So once the person replies, it'll come back into your inbox again, and you'll deal with it again, and you'll archive it again and go back and forth until eventually it just stays archived because the conversation has ended. And if you ever need to find the email again, you use the search capability in your inbox and search for it, and you can find it. So just like with our physical mailboxes that we have outside of our houses, you do not leave every single piece of mail out on your kitchen table all the time. You throw away, aka like deleting some of it, some of the junk mail you get or the stuff you don't need, you delete it, and you keep some of it and handle some of the ones you need. And then only the stuff that gets left on the table is stuff you have something you still need to do with it. The other stuff has been put where it needs to go, or it's been responded to in whatever way that means. Okay. Your email is the same way. We do not want to leave everything out all the time. So archive stuff after you've handled it, and your inbox will feel so much cleaner and easier to manage if you're only seeing, and they might be read already, like they're going to be opened, but you're only seeing when you open the inbox, the messages that you have to do some work on, that you need to respond to. And I want to say too, if you're like, I don't even know what archiving is, literally no matter what email software you use, archiving is a setting in it. So when you are viewing an email that you have open and you're like, okay, I'm done with this, and you're normally just clicking out and it's like marked as read, and so you're good, there should be a button somewhere at the top, somewhere that looks like a little, kind of like a file cabinet. That's what it looks like in my email software. But you click that and it's going to be archived, and you're not deleting it. Archiving is different than deleting. I think that's something people don't realize, is they think archiving is the same thing, but it's not. So archive stuff, keep your inbox cleaner. Okay, the third tip: keep promotional mail and personal mail separate from your business mail. Okay, so again, you likely get all kinds of emails. You get like Bath and Body Works, there are candles and soap are on sale type emails. You get the emails where every single person in your extended family clicks reply all every time an email is sent. I get a lot of those. Then you get like actual client emails. You get emails about your blog. You get a lot of spam probably too. All of those things should ideally not be in the same inbox. And if they are, you should be automatically filtering things so that it's all sorted automatically. And again, this is an easy system you can implement. It's going to take a bit of time, like maybe 30 minutes, maybe. But once you have it done, it's on autopilot and it's already managed. So there's a few different ways you can do this. Totally depends on what you feel like works for you in this season. I've done it a variety of ways, but I want to share two particular ideas for kind of how to separate things. So one thing is you could have literally separate email addresses for different things. So let's say, for example, you have a company email that's at your domain name, which I highly recommend doing that for professionalism, not like at a Gmail, but get a company email address. And you can have the company email address only be for company work. Nothing personal goes there. You know, when you're ordering your contact solutions online, you're using a different email address. When you're signing up for like the Bath and Body Works newsletter, it's a different email address. And then you get a second email that's just like an at Gmail account type email, where you get your family members get that email. When you sign up for a coupon code on some website where you're thinking about buying something, that's the email you use. And so you're keeping them separate. And that way throughout the day, you're not getting a notification every time, you know, Kohl's, I don't even know why I'm saying Kohl's, that's what came to my mind, but every time Kohl's wants to send you an email, or Macy's or wherever, you're not getting an email notification in your inbox that you have to go deal with. Okay. So that's one option. Another option is you can keep it all in the same inbox, but use automated filters and tagging and things of that nature to get it sorted in the inbox, so that the less important stuff, the stuff that isn't related to your business, goes into a promotions folder, or goes into a family folder, or goes into a restaurant coupons folder. I literally used to have it where it was all in the same inbox. I don't really do that as much anymore. I have more separate inboxes to some extent. I still keep some stuff all in my business inbox, but I literally had a restaurants promo folder. So anytime on the email list I was on for different restaurants, they automatically went in there, and they weren't marked as read yet, but they were sorted out of my main inbox. So then whenever I'm like, I wonder if so-and-so like has some deal right now, I just like go to that folder and can kind of see what different places are promoting. You can do the same thing for shopping stuff you like. You can use filters. And again, that's just look in your email provider, look at their tutorials and stuff, and you'll be able to figure that out. Interrupting this episode with a suggestion for the small business owners listening. Ever wonder what you should do for healthcare when you and your spouse are both self-employed, so there's no work-provided health insurance to participate in? Well, when my husband Adam joined me in the entrepreneurial job space over 4 years ago, we joined Christian Healthcare Ministries instead of getting traditional health insurance. And it was the best decision for us, especially in these years of growing and raising a family while also running multiple businesses. CHM is a health cost-sharing ministry and is a faith-based alternative to health insurance. We did tons of research before choosing CHM, and if you know me and Adam, you know we are all about doing the math when making big or small financial decisions. And even though it's not insurance, CHM shares 100% of eligible medical bills, which is more than the typical 70 or 80% of medical bills paid for by insurance companies. All sharing is determined by the CHM guidelines, which you can check out before and after joining. And for the mamas and mamas to be listening, you truly cannot find a better healthcare option for maternity care. I had a vaginal delivery and a C-section and birth center care and hospital care between my 2 pregnancies and births, and it was all 100% shared for. And outside of birth, we've had our share of emergency room visits and procedures as a family, and those costs were all shared by members at Christian Healthcare Ministries, leaving us only paying our monthly contribution. CHM is less expensive month to month than insurance, and because there's no network, you can choose your care with whichever providers best fit your family. I seriously just cannot recommend Christian Healthcare Ministries enough. You've got to check them out. Go to elizabethmccravey.com/CHM for more information. Also putting that link in the show notes, elizabethmccravey.com/CHM. Now back to the episode. But you can kind of figure out which of those options, and maybe there's a third option I'm not even thinking of right now, but which one's right for you in your current season. And again, I've done both of those. Right now in my company, we have 3 different email addresses that are all managed inside of Front. And we'll probably be adding even more at some point, but those all have particular roles to each one. So like, I'm not going to use the support email to sign up for me to get coupon codes for some store, some online boutique. I'm going to use a different email for that. So I try to just really make stuff specific to what it's supposed to be. And the point is, just don't distract yourself by having everything all in one place. Because again, like even if I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, but like with notifications to your inbox, even if you were to like turn those off and you don't have any notifications coming in, if every time, again, using Kohl's as an example, I don't know why, but every time Kohl's sends you an email, if you have to like look at that, delete it, deal with it, that is a like waste of time for you in your business hours. So keeping it separate is going to be really helpful. And having non-domain based email addresses are free. So you can literally get anything you want at gmail.com for no cost. Having your name at that, some random thing you come up with, whatever it is, to use for your promo mail is free. So there's no reason not to do it. And so I would recommend that of like setting up an email for it to keep it separate, or using automated filters, but keeping it all in one inbox, whichever one works for you. Okay, let's move on to the 4th tip. Okay, don't check your email all day long and turn off push notifications, okay? And this one, again, might seem really simple, but how many of you are actually doing this? So if you have phone push notifications for your inbox, okay, like where every time you get a new email, it pops up like a text message, I would really recommend just trying turning that off. And I think the reason we often don't want to is because we think when people send us a message, it's really urgent and we just gotta know, the same way we want to know about a text message, what they said. And if that's you and you're like, the idea of turning off push notifications freaks me out too much, if you use the Gmail app on your iPhone, and the regular mail app might have this as well, but you can do to where it only sends messages that it thinks are important as a push notification. So that's always an option to you instead of getting every single one, just getting some. But ideally, I think having it completely turned off would be great, because when it's on, you're probably getting emails all times a day. Again, especially if you're getting random promotional mail as well. So when you're hanging out with your kids, kids or with your husband, or you're at happy hour with a friend, you do not need to know what's happening in your inbox. But if you keep getting push notifications for your emails, you're going to want to know. It takes you out of the present moment. It takes you away from where your feet are to what's happening on your phone, which is not what we want. So keep the app on your phone if you want to. I definitely like having the email app on my phone. But for me, I have two different email apps. I have the front app, like I said earlier, that we use as a team, and I also have the Gmail app, but I don't get push notifications for either. And I used to for way too long. I think I kind of like got so used to them always happening that I didn't even like realize they were happening. But it was really distracting because I would get a support message for my template shop at say like 10 p.m. and I'd be hanging out with my husband, Adam, and I'd want to reply when that's not what's best for me or for the customer. What's best for both of us is for me to set a boundary and wait until I'm working the next day and respond, because typically those messages were never urgent. It's just that's when the person was working on their website, or maybe they're on a different time zone, and that's when they sent a question. Another reason you might be like, but I really want push notifications. This was one that was big for me. I want to know when I made a sale, because that's the kind of email that's really fun to see. And so something I did recently is I added a Zap using Zapier. I think that's how you say it, where I get a text message when I make a new template sale. So it like literally I have a number saved on my phone and I named it like you made a sale, and I get a text and it tells me the name of the person, what they bought, all of that. And it feels similar to an email notification, but it's in a text and I don't need to reply. I don't need to do anything about it. And it's positive, like nothing weighty. It's always really nice. Even when I'm like out doing friends, something not business related, to like see, oh, I made a sale. That's really fun. So that feels different than a push notification. You can set up something like that through Zapier. Just look that up. You can do the text message setting. But yeah, just don't check your email all day long. Having that tab pulled up constantly is going to take you away from doing deep work in your business. Let's say you're writing a blog post, or you're trying to really dive into that client's website, or you're working on your own website. Having your inbox pulled up in the background constantly is going to take you away from that every time you see a little notification and click over to it. So don't be in it all day long, and turn off push notifications. And again, I get it to have your inbox pulled up sometimes. So I don't want to say I'm like, don't ever have your inbox up. But if you find yourself like throughout the entire day clicking over to it every time something comes through, but you weren't waiting on a specific important email, you need to try closing it out or snoozing it so it doesn't send you push notifications, so you don't see the little number change. That's an option on a lot of email softwares, is to snooze it. So that's my tip number 4. Just don't check your email all day long and turn off push notifications. All right, on to number 5. Unsubscribe from the stuff you don't need so you get less notifications all day. And again, I just talked about not checking your email all day, but even if you're in your designated email time, but you're getting tons of emails that you're just are completely irrelevant to your life at this point, you don't need to get them. So Unroll Me, it's spelled like it sounds. I think it's unroll.me is the website. I'll put it in the show notes, but that's an amazing site where you can log into your email address and it tells you what all you're subscribed to, like what email list you're on. Might be some that never email you, or might be ones you're constantly getting and just deleting. I highly recommend doing this. And within their platform, you can actually click and unsubscribe to the ones that you're already deleting anyway. And you're like, I'm not even reading these. You can go ahead and make it to where they're just not in your inbox. It's all in one place and really easy to manage. Another option to kind of get your inbox cleaned up, in addition to Unroll Me or as a separate thing, you can make a conscious effort for, say, a week, maybe the week you listen to this episode, to every time you get an email you don't want, take the extra effort and unsubscribe, because you're probably opening it and deleting it, or maybe you're deleting it without even opening it. Just take the extra step and unsubscribe, or actually open it and see, like, do I actually want to get this person's mail? And if so, try to sort it somewhere like we talked about before. But doing this will naturally reduce your inbox time because you're not clicking into the distractions all day. So when we're constantly getting push notifications, whether it's like what I was saying of like the little one on your inbox app saying you got another email, or if it's a push notification to your phone, even if you're like deleting it immediately, like you're not engaging with it, it's still a distraction, it's still time wasted, and it's still a messy system, because over the course of your life, you're going to get on even more email subscription lists, and you're going to need to do this regularly. So that's number 5, you guys. Just unsubscribe from all the stuff, and using Unroll Me is a great key there. All right, I got 2 more tips for you guys. So number 6, keyboard shortcuts. Okay, this one is huge for easy link sharing and helps you. In addition to this, I would say you need to know your links, and I'm going to explain. So if you've listened to this podcast for a little bit, you've probably heard me talk about this many times. I've also talked about it on Instagram, but the idea of setting up keyboard shortcuts. So this takes a few minutes, but it will save you so much time over the course of your life and your business, all the things. So if you use Apple products specifically, you can create a keyboard shortcut from your iPhone to where you type in a shorthand and then you press the space bar after you type it in, and it changes to a longer thing that you have it set for. Okay. So whenever I'm on my iPhone, my iPad, my laptop, whatever, if I type in one of these short codes, it changes to being the longer thing. So as an example, one that I use that I'd highly recommend you doing in your own business, if I type in EMC, which is the shorthand in my mind for my website URL, and I press the space bar, it's going to auto expand to elizabethmccravey.com, and it's going to have the https:// before it, and then another slash at the end. And then, since I know all my URLs, I have them memorized for my website. And again, it's easy to remember, like my shop is /shop. Like I know things like that. So since I know, whenever I type in the URL and then whatever that ending thing is, I have the link. And without this, every time someone needs to link to something, you're having to go look up the link to copy and paste it. Or even if you do know the link, like maybe you're like me and you're like, yeah, I know my links I have to share often. You're having to slowly type it in again. And that takes a lot of time. It might not feel like a lot of time. It might feel more like 10 seconds. But if you're doing, let's say 50 emails a day where you're having to type a link every time or multiple links every time, that adds up to a lot of wasted time. And again, it feels small, but it saves time. And I also think it saves sanity because I do this so much of typing links. And if I was typing it all out completely every time, it would feel like it takes forever. So yeah, knowing your links is really helpful with that too. Just remembering your links, knowing them. And if you have really long URLs, that's what I mean when I say links. If your URLs are really long and you're like, I can't remember that easily at all because it's too long. If you are a Show It user, there is a plugin on WordPress, because remember, you're using WordPress for your blogging, so you're really using the two together. But there's a plugin called Pretty Links that I absolutely am just obsessed with, and you can put in any longer link and get a shorter link for it. So for example, let me think of a good example here. So Flowdesk is one of the email marketing platforms I promote. I love Flowdesk. And so for me, if you were to type in to your browser, elizabethmccravey.com/Flowdesk, it's going to change that to my affiliate link for Flowdesk. And so now when someone emails me and says, hey, Elizabeth, I bought one of your templates. What email software do you recommend I use? If I just type in EMC, enter, and then do a backspace and type out the words Flowdesk, it's going to automatically, that's going to send them to the link with my Flowdesk 50% off discount. Okay. And so I don't have to be like, oh man, that's some really long affiliate link. Let me go look it up. I have that set in Pretty Links, and I'm using the shorthands with that to make it just all set up really well. So if you're like, wait, how do I do this? How do I do the short links? I'll put instructions for it in the blog post that goes along with this episode. So if you go to elizabethmccravey.com/79, it'll take you to the blog post, and I use Pretty Links to make that link. But that's how you do that. And then also early on my podcast, episode 11 and 12, I'm sharing technology hacks to help save you time. And I talk about both those softwares in more detail. So if you're like, I want more of that, go to episodes 11 and 12, really a ways back. But those are still they're old ones, but very much favorites on the podcast. Okay, so that was number 6, keyboard shortcuts and figure out how to know your links. Okay, the last tip. I hope you guys are loving these to systematize your inbox. Okay, the last one though, use away messages and autoresponders. So this takes the pressure off you to be in your inbox 24/7 while also crafting a really great experience for your clients and potential clients. So for example, if you are like me and you have a chat box on your website where people can live chat with you, put up an autoresponder to where if you don't respond within, say, a minute because you're not actually online, they get a message back saying that you're not online and telling them like a next step to do. With your contact form, you guys have heard me talk about this in my podcast many times. You want to have an automated email that sends out right after someone fills out the form telling them, hey, your email was received and any steps to do in the meantime. And again, I talk about this extensively, in so many episodes. Let me look up which one. So in episode 71 is a great one to listen to. It's about how to stay top of mind to potential clients. I talk about that extensively of like how to set up this autoresponder email really well, exactly what to say, all of that kind of stuff. So listen to that, episode 71, if you want more guidance. But yeah, you want to have an email there. You can also do an autoresponder that's on your main inbox the majority of the time. I don't do this right now personally. It's something we might implement, but I know a lot of people who do it and I think it's awesome. And basically what that looks like is every time someone sends you an email, they get an email back immediately. And you could probably set it to where it's like only people that are outside of your main contact list or something like that. And you have that autoresponder on all the time, and then you turn it off when you're having your inbox time, which is another tip I'd give that isn't even on this list, but having designated time where you're working in your inbox instead throughout the whole day. There's a random tip for you that I just thought of. But yeah, having that email is really helpful to set an expectation about a reply and to guide people to resources they might be looking for anyway in them having reached out to you. So that tip will cut back on your inbox time and help you not feel like you have to be in there 24/7 replying to things. Also having an autoresponder on the weekends is a great idea, to where when people email you on the weekends, it tells them, hey, you're away for the weekend. You're going to get back to them on Monday, that kind of thing. And for me, I don't want to send those to my clients necessarily because I like to be more like, hey, I'm all in on responding to you on that. But for all the other general emails, I think that's really great, really smart. All right, guys, so there you have it, the 7 ways to systematize your inbox so you can spend less time emailing. And again, I reduced this episode to 7 because I don't want to talk about this forever. So we might do a part 2 where I might expand on some of these and add in some others, because I actually thought of 10, but I didn't want to overwhelm this right now. But I want to leave you with a thought of just remembering that your inbox is not as urgent as it sometimes feels. And it's typically, the time spent in your inbox, typically not what's moving the needle forward in your business. So try to strive, maybe just for the rest of the day, or tomorrow if you're listening to this later in the day. Try to not have your inbox pulled up the whole time while you're working, but instead really dive into whatever task it is you're doing. Try some of these tips, maybe pick 3 and be like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this for a week and see how it changes things for me. See how it can reduce the time I'm spending emailing. Because again, as someone who hates emailing, I've come up with a lot of these over the years, but these are great starting points too to really eliminate unnecessary time in the inbox and spend more time on what you really started your business for. So I'm going to recap these real fast. And again, as I recap right now, I want you to think about, okay, what's 3 of these that I can do this week to start implementing? So the first one we talked about, set up canned email responses. The second thing, archive emails after they've been dealt with, so not keeping stuff that's already been responded to in your inbox. Number 3, keeping promotional mail and personal mail separate from your business mail, so different inboxes for different things. Number 4, don't check your email all day long and turn off push notifications. So really focusing on having designated inbox time versus constantly in your inbox. Number 5, unsubscribe. Use Unroll Me to get off email lists you don't need to be on. Number 6, using keyboard shortcuts for easy link sharing. So learning how to know your links with the keyboard shortcuts and pretty links. And number 7, using away messages and autoresponders, getting that set up as a system in your business on the weekends or just every time a contact form message, whatever that is for you. Okay, you guys, so that's it. And again, I'd love to know which one of these you're going to implement, what stuck out to you. And another thing, if you have a friend where you're they probably have an overwhelmed inbox, whether they're an entrepreneur or not, and you're oh, I think they'd really love this episode, I want to encourage you to text it to them. I know I've said this on the podcast before, but I love it when friends send me podcast episodes they think I would like. And if you have an iPhone and you're using Apple Podcast app, just go to this episode where you're viewing it and you see the episode notes and all of that, and click on the ... And then there's an option where it says share, and then you can literally do a text message and select the person that you text with a lot and send it to them. And it literally sends them a direct link where they can click into it, start playing it from Apple Podcasts right there. And that really helps grow the show, but you can also help your friend get their inbox cleaned up. Okay, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this. Can't wait for you to have a more systematized inbox. And I'll be back next week with another episode. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, friend. I appreciate you being here. Hey, I want to tell you, if you've enjoyed this episode, then I really want to encourage you to check out my website, where you'll find tons of resources to help you grow a profitable and sustainable business. Over on ElizabethMcCravey.com, you'll find a lot of great things, some of which I want to tell you about right now. So you'll find free workbooks to help you do things like identify your ideal client, discover what pain points you solve for your customers, or even a guide to help you plan out your Instagram feed. You'll also find my top business tools. Yes, I literally list out all the major tools I use in my business on my website, and I have a bunch of special discounts and offer for you guys to snag and try out these products and services. You'll also find my website template shop that helps you DIY your way to a strategic website for your business. These website templates are easy to use, they're built on the Showit platform, and they are gorgeously designed. I have a feeling you'll absolutely love them. So to access the tools and free downloads, go to ElizabethMcCravey.com/tools. And to access the amazing website templates so you can get started with a new website today, go to ElizabethMcCravey.com/shop. I hope you have so much fun exploring over there. There's so much great stuff for you on my website. And you guys, don't forget, you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. And leaving a rating and review for the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening, or even just sharing it with a friend, is a great way to support this show. Thanks so much for being here. Bye, you guys.